From arriving to Tel Aviv, to Galilee, to the Golan Heights, to the Jordan Valley, to the mountains of Samaria. And now you're standing and overlooking the city of God, Jerusalem, Zion, Moriah. It's not a dream. You can pinch yourself and see it's true. You're here. This is Moriah. Directly in front of you, where you see the Golden Dome, which we'll talk more about during lunch. This is the actual mountain of God. This is the mountain where Isaiah says, my house will be a house of prayer to all nations. That's the mountain that Abraham was tested by God with the offering of his son Isaac. We'll talk about in a few minutes. But the first encounter with this area goes all the way back to the book of Genesis, chapter 14. If you remember, Abraham told you the story in Banyas. He left his father's house in Ur Kasdim, went to Haran, made his way all the way into the promised land of Israel, Canaan called then, and then settled in a city called Beersheba. At one point, his cousin Lot, when they were overlooking, Lot saw all of the lush area of Sodom. So he said, I want to go there. Abraham says, by all means, you go right, I'll go left. And Lot went to Sodom and Gomorrah. That was a bad call. Abraham stayed in the desert, digging wells and struggling with the Philistines. But Lot was in a very bad environment. After God, at one point before the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, there was a big fight between the 5 kings and the 4 kings. They captured Lot. And Abraham takes the 4 kings, fights with them, takes 318 people, and chases them all the way up to Dan. Again, named Dan much later. And to the area of Damascus. Chova, left of Damascus. Retrieves them and brings them where? Brings them back. And this is where our journey connects to this place right over here. Because this is the context. I want to read to you now from the book of Genesis, chapter 14. Because on the way back from this journey, from the success of this war, Abraham travels probably the king's route, the patriarch's path, Route 60, the one we were driving on yesterday, from Shiloh. And right over here, I'm going to read in Hebrew because that's the original language it was written. I guess after 4 days in Israel, Hebrew is pretty fluent, no? When he was coming back from striking Kedar Laomer and the kings, he came to Emek Shaveh or Emek HaMelech. He came to the King's Valley. The King's Valley is the valley you see right over that street light. There's a big valley with some greenery. That's the King's Valley. And who met him in the King's Valley? Melech Shalem. Melchizedek, king of Shalem. This was known as Shalem. Shalem, which means peace, complete, whole. Then Yerushalayim. Melchizedek, king of Shalem, met him. And how did he greet him? What is the formal welcoming ceremony to Jerusalem? And Melchizedek, king of Salem, Hotzi lechem v'yayin, brought out bread and wine. V'hu kohen le'el elyon, and he was a priest to the Almighty God. First time when you have a priest serving one God in a singular, not a multiple pagan world. Vayevarchehu vayomar, he blessed Abraham and he tells them, Baruch Avraham le'el elyon, koneh shamayim va'aretz. Blessed is Abraham to the creator of the sky, the creator of the earth, and the God that saved you and protected you and blessed you in your journey. And then the amazing thing happens. What does Abraham do? First time ever in the Bible describes, Abraham gives him a tithe. The tithing comes from here. Abraham takes a tithe and gives it to him. He was a priest and a king. Melchizedek, Melech, and a priest, serving God in his temple mount in Moriah. And Abraham gives him the first time of the tithing. So this story happens here 3,700 years ago in Jerusalem, back then called Shalem, Melchizedek, king of Shalem. The mountain described 6 chapters later is Moriah, which we'll read from, of the big test that Abraham was challenged through. But therefore, because of all of that, because you just arrived yesterday, bless you, to Jerusalem, and you just came in and checked in the King David Hotel, you didn't have a chance yet to see this glorious city. We're now standing here overlooking where the events happened, both Melchizedek and Abraham and Isaac, Jacob, Bethel, later on David building here his palace, his son building the temple, the ark staying here, the temple of God, and of course the event with Jesus in Jerusalem here. All of this happened. This is probably the most famous city, the holiest city, the center of the world. The Dome of the Rock is built over the foundation stone. We believe, the world is round, so where's the center of a round ball? But we believe that the foundation is over here. This is the center of the world, Moriah, Temple Mount. And with that being said, what I want to invite you to do this very special ceremony. And then we're going to talk about Abraham and his challenge with Isaac. We have here a big challah, a bread. Yes.
Does this have a connection with communion too? Since he worked
Communion has a connection with what we're going to do after lunch in the Last Supper room, because the two main elements of the communion is the bread and the wine. But that's from a different thing. That's from Passover when he says, "This is my flesh, this is my blood." So that's not so much for me. Maybe symbolically it's connected. The first time the greeting is bread and wine, Melchizedek in Genesis 14. But the communion is more with Jesus saying to his disciples in the Last Supper, "This is my flesh, this is my wine." Correct, pastors? Right,
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
So what we're going to do is let's pass in some cups. Okay? We're just going to get a shot of some